Now, there's mixed news tonight for thousands of British companies and the millions of people who work in them. New figures show that while UK banks are ahead of schedule for overall lending to business, they've fallen £1 billion short of their target for small and medium-sized firms under an agreement with the Treasury. That was known as Project Merlin. Well, Alison Grieve runs a business in Scotland called Safetray and struggled to get her bank to lend her company money when she first approached them earlier this year. She joins us now from our studio in Edinburgh. And thanks very much indeed for being with us. So how is your business going?
Well, our business is going very well now. We were able to get a small overdraft from the bank, which even just a small amount did go an exceptionally long way in supporting our exports. And we were able to go to a trade show in Chicago, and at that trade show we made substantial sales, which then allowed us to ship the machine that makes our product back from where we were manufacturing in the Far East and set up manufacturing in the UK, which has been great for the economy here. Yeah,
and so do you thank Project Merlin for that? Or is it just good relations with your local bank manager?
Well, I think that Project Merlin has gone some way to put pressure on the banks to lend to small and medium-sized businesses. There's still a lot more that could be done. I'm one of many companies that are on a high growth pipeline, and I know that very few of them have managed to receive any bank funding at all whatsoever. And actually our company decided to go down the angel investment route, selling a share of equity in our company in return for funds.
Yeah, and so what more would you like to see being done now if you could wave a magic wand?
Well, I think it's about the banks recognising the different types of start-up businesses. There are some that are very much lifestyle businesses and might have steady growth along a long period of time, but there are others like a Facebook, for instance, which was an exceptionally high growth company, one of the most resounding success stories of the last 100 years even, commercially speaking, but they wouldn't have received bank funding at an early stage because of the ways that banks value early stage companies as opposed to the way that an investment angel would do.
All right, Alison Grieve, very good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed for being with us on BBC News. Thanks a lot. Well, let's speak now to the Shadow Business Secretary, Chuka Umunna, who's in our Westminster studio. Very good evening to you. Thanks very much for being with us. I know if you could wave a magic wand, you'd change the government and you'd be in power yourself. But short of that, what do you think the government should be doing?
Well, it's interesting hearing Alison speaking there, and I'm pleased that, at least her business is doing well. That's fantastic news. There is a problem, though, with the way the finance sector is serving business today. I think part of the reason that we're not getting money out of the door to SMEs in particular in this country is because at the moment one of the things that is holding them back from going and approaching banks for finance is the economic outlook. Vince Cable, when he took over the department that I shadow, the business department, said that it was supposed to be the Department for Economic Growth, and the simple fact is that really since he took over we haven't had enough growth in our economy because of the too fast deficit reduction strategy that his government is imposing. So that's one part of it. The other part is actually also just the general culture, Alison touched on it there, of our banking system. The banks say we don't lend because there's not enough demand, but at the same time we see that people run small businesses are using their own personal finance, credit cards or overdrafts to finance their businesses, which to me would demonstrate that there is demand there, but there's a problem, A, in the money getting out of the door, and B, the actual culture. Does a bank have a local relationship manager there that has actually bothered to get to know the business? But in fairness, or does it put the business on the phone to somebody who's in some remote location who doesn't really understand the context of the business?
But Alison was also saying there that the banks had helped, and it was largely thanks to Project Merlin.
Well, no, she didn't say that it was largely thanks to Project Merlin.
She was very supportive of it. She said it had helped.
John, you're actually slightly misinterpreting her words there, because she said she thinks it has helped put some pressure on the banks. The point is it hasn't put enough pressure. And as I said, it's not just, more pressure does need to be put on the banks. For God's sake, we've got stakes in two of the largest banks, and the government needs to use its influence through UK Financial Investments, which holds and runs our stakes in those banks, to make sure they get the money out of the door. But as I said, the other part of the equation is to get growth back into the economy, get demand back into the economy, to give companies and businesses the confidence to go out and get finance, to expand expand, and the problem is they just don't have that confidence at the moment, and that is before the Eurozone, John, has taken effect. You hear David Cameron today talking about, oh, the Eurozone has caused all these problems. A lot of the statistics we're seeing, a lot of the indicators relate to a period before the Eurozone crisis has actually impacted on our economy in a really big way.
But we were speaking to Vince Cable this weekend. He was talking exactly about the importance of getting growth back into the economy and talking about maybe these infrastructure projects being, road building and the like.
He hasn't done anything about that. I mean, there are some immediate measures they could take now. They could extend this national insurance break for micro businesses taking on more employees across the country. They have failed to do that. They could temporarily reduce VAT, which we saw during the last financial crisis have a real effect in terms of driving and stimulating the economy. They have failed to do that. They're very Johnny come lately, and actually, for all the boasts of the measures that they say they have been taken, they are either things that started and found their gestation in our time in government, or they're simple re-announcements. The Regional Growth Fund is a very good example of that.
All right, Chuka Umunna, thank you very much indeed. Good to talk to you. Thanks
for being with you.
Thanks a lot. Right, let's get up with all the rest of the business news. Ben has joined us in the studio. Evening to you.
Yeah, interesting. Banks pretty mixed on that news about lending figures, John. We'll have a look at those in a minute. But